So next talk is by Markus Bohlin, who will talk about analytics for industry and optimization for industry, state of the art and the future.
Yep.
So please, Markus.
Thank you very much, Christer. Okay. Lovely. Okay, so my name is Markus Bohlin. I'm going to talk about optimization and analytics and what that can do for industry today. So this will not be a very technical talk, I'm sorry about that. If you want to hear more about what we actually do, then you're more than welcome to come and talk to us after this presentation up in the exhibitions, where we have more than 10 different exhibitions showing applications in industry on this. Okay. So the talk will be about this. Swedish industry, traditional industry, is facing a lot of challenges today. This is coming from low-cost production in other countries, but also from IT in itself. And the talk will be about how we can stay competitive using analytics and optimization in just 5 years, because everything is evolving so fast at the moment. So when I'm finished, you will know more about the challenges we face today, and also a little bit more about how we can overcome them. So that's the main goal of the talk. So when I prepared this talk, I took a close look on the current trends in ICT. And in particular, as I work mostly in traditional industry, I wanted to see what has changed in more traditional parts of the industry. And one example that stood out a lot was the appearance of these network transportation companies. You know, the ones. Uber is established in Stockholm now. You can call a cab using your cell phone, basically, and you will see on your smartphone where the cab is and when it will arrive. And you pay using this smartphone. So everything is sort of automated in your phone. This has been described as software eats taxis, like the traditional taxis that you know and love, hopefully, by Mark Andreessen, who invented Mosaic a long way back when the internet was new. And it's interesting, Uber was started in just 5 years ago, and now they exist in 250 cities and 55 countries around the world. So this is a major thing that is happening now. And in San Francisco, where this all started, in just 2 years, the number of taxi rides, the average number of taxi rides per taxi has dropped by 65%. So this is a major change that is happening at the moment. So imagine now, so this is consumer business, we talked about this before as well, but imagine now what would happen if this would happen in traditional base industry in Sweden. So this is something that we need to think about and prepare for as well. And companies who are in the business where a change like this happens, they don't survive, basically. So this is really, really important. So just some trends on innovation which is happening at the moment. You've heard about this during the day now already. So we have new technology, cloud computing, big data, analytics, etc. Internet of Things, which is transforming the way we do business today. And there are new innovation models to support this as well. We have open innovation. People talk about the sharing economy today as well. Ride sharing, for example, one example of that. And crowdfunding. So there are lots of things happening. And this means that institutions are challenged. Traditional institutions need to change, basically. And what is important to realize here is that ICT, while enabling change, also drives the change on its own. And that means that traditional industry need to adapt to this as well and prepare for it. So what is happening in automation, for example, is that the old technology of the 80s is sort of tailing off. The effects of having this type of technology is not as profound anymore, obviously. And we are entering a new phase of digitalization where there will be lots of new technology. People in industry everywhere are moving to cloud technology, for example, today. This is a huge effect. And the challenge here is to stay competitive by not sort of getting caught behind in this race. So this is really important. So I'm going to shift topic and talk a little bit about strategy now in traditional industry. So strategy is basically how to compete, right? And the two basic strategies that exist in manufacturing industry is either you go for specialization, you become much better at building a few products that you have and manufacture those, or services for that matter. So that's one way, and that's basically the low-cost way of doing things, right? The other one, which is very popular today, is to go for a broader product flora. So you want to have more products, and by doing that you can increase sales of profitable products. The problem with this is it's really hard to stay efficient once you have lots of products. I mean, this is really complex because you have to change your processes so that they adapt to all these different and varying requirements that you have from your customers. And basically what this means is that you cannot continue doing this in the same way you did before. So you need to adapt to this and somehow handle this complexity. And I will just give you one example of what this means. So imagine that this is a very fictional example. So you have, let's imagine that you have 20 marbles, okay? And you need to put this into boxes. This can be your production resources or whatever, really. Okay, given that you have just one type of marbles, you can just put them in one type of boxes. So that's very nice, and you will end up with, like, yeah, in this type, if you can store 4 marbles in each box, you will have 5 boxes. So that's fine, and you can store all your marbles. So that's nice. Okay, now imagine that we end up with 2 types of marbles instead. We have red and blue marbles, and each one has to go into the different box, obviously, a red and a blue box. And they still store 4 marbles each. Okay, if you do the math here, you will find that you now need 6 boxes to store the same amount of marbles. Okay? One step further, if you have 3 different kind of marbles, you will end up with 7 boxes to store these in. Okay, so this is just an illustration, but it's not a toy example. This type of problem exists everywhere, from transportation to manufacturing to power production to anything you can imagine, basically. So how do you handle this? I mean, what do you do when you have new products? So one approach of handling this is to use analytics. And the analytics approach, this is well known to a lot of people, is basically to take the data that you have now, and then you make some predictions, or you use machine learning to do some deviation detection on this. And this has been done by lots of people before. We also do this at SICS, and we're really good at that. But we also take it one step further, which is to go for optimization and planning instead. So that is, take your predictions, and then you try to decide what is the best course of action to take care. So that can be, for example, to decide on what type of boxes you should have. So imagine that you have a box which now can store green and blue marbles. I should also say this type of optimization problem is usually much more complex than this. It's just an example. So what you see on the screen is an optimization model for a totally different problem, but you get the picture. There is a lot under the hood here. So if you do the simple calculation, you will end up once more where you can only get by with using 6 boxes, which is a reduction in the number of resources that you need. So just to wrap up, here are 3 things you should think about. One, you should really start to experiment with new business models. This is really key to capturing new customers and be able to adapt to things that change. So really important. The second thing, start experimenting with analytics and decision support. This is really where all the technology, where the business value is created from the new technology we see here today. And the third one, also very, very important, if you don't have the competence, and this is really common today, then let's do this together. You can talk to us. I'm really keen to hear more about your problems and what you want to solve, and let's make this better together. So thank you very much. Please visit our exhibitions upstairs as well. So thanks.